$1.15 a pod, as opposed to $1.50.
Holy shit!
He just drank.
Not that long ago. I just haven't had good beer.
I've been talking about my mom.
I've been drinking wine. I honestly don't even. That was
Hofbrau.
crazy.
That's
gonna be-
Hofbrau.
What's that?
That's Hofbrau. That is Munich, one of the Munich beers. That's Oktoberfest.
We had a patient that was over there and brought us back.
Ah.
Oh, wow.
My old boss was there. I told him to go to August.
What?
We haven't even
So you
started.
brought
I've had
this from?
3/4 of a beer.
He's going to the NAs
Want some?
already. What is it? Can we only have one Waples
Yeah,
drinking at a
frozen
time?
glass.
but as soon
Yeah,
as
double up.
I have like 60s by the end of the show. You know?
How many did you? When did you pop those in there?
I just brought one. I just brought it over from the lake. He just brought it in. Just threw it in my
He
backpack.
grabbed a glass. That's what he was
Okay.
doing.
If I could hydrate with an NA, that's all.
Yeah. Do you want?
They're NA
No,
in
that's
the
right,
beer
that's
in
right.
the they're
I
NA
thought
in
there
the
was more
fridge.
cans, and I was like, yeah.
Right side. Good God! Can I start a podcast now?
Sure. You can
Oh.
start whenever you want.
Oh,
This is your world. We
this
just live
is
in it.
this is gonna be chaotic.
It is. I'm running the cameras.
That's
I'm running
there,
the
yeah.
soundboard. I'm
And
running
that's
everything.
yours, yeah.
It's a goddamn nightmare. It's what?
It's like honey.
It's got
Oh.
like brioche.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was like tangy.
You know.
1 week remains in this season of 24. I don't know about you, but I sure as heck want more. Look ahead to 25. It will be here just like that. I only hope that I don't spend the winter getting fat. Well, it's Tuesday and the mics are hot and the cameras are rolling. We're all live at packfiller.com as well as our YouTube channel, and none of you bastards are listening to me
Yes, I
at
am.
all. I
tune
am.
you out most of the time.
We have a beer traveling
Yeah.
all the way from Germany to talk about.
Yeah,
so,
come on.
Sorry, Pat.
This is the Packfiller Cycling Podcast for Tuesday, October 8th, 2024, and I'm your host, Pat Bolger. Do I have it? I do.
This is off to a good start for how the whole night is going to go.
It is. It's going to be a bad night for me. We almost have a full house, but if you notice the camera's not actually showing who's talking, that's because our main producer and the one and only Jackson Bolger is not here, but we promise he is okay and he hasn't disowned his father as of this moment. Jesus. Let's see who's here, shall we? Tonight's prologue question by Scratch Labs. Trust me, the apple cider flavor Scratch is the bomb in your morning mug or even post-workout. Tonight's question is, who was your first TV hero? I know Paul and I are going to probably pull some references that very few listeners are going to get, but who was your first TV hero? Real or not real? So there we go. First and foremost, he's the guy who will ride on the gravel just as long as you don't call it gravel, Mr. Paul Main.
I see your theme today.
Yeah, exactly. How are you, man?
Doing all right.
Good. Who did you idolize as a
Maxwell
as a boy?
Smart.
Oh my God.
Are
Oh
they
my
still
God.
alive?
Him.
Him.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, are any of
No.
your guys' people still alive?
No, I think
Mine
he's
might
gone.
be. Mine might be, but I don't get to go. It's not my turn. So Maxwell Smart.
Maxwell
Shoe
Smart.
phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Would you
I
believe?
missed it by that
Yep,
much.
yep, exactly.
Cone of silence.
Yeah.
That's good.
So second of all, he's the guy who has no idea what Zone 2 is, Mr. Sam Waples. You're right.
What
You're
is
just
Zone
like,
2?
let's go easy. Let's go easy. I'm bleeding out my eyeballs. I'm going to rip your legs off. I'm very shallow and my mom doesn't hug me enough.
That's probably true.
Shit, your mom's
yeah.
probably listening to it.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
probably.
kidding.
She's like, I always hug my boys.
Yeah.
Either John Krasinski from The Office
Okay. Yeah. You guys are young.
or Ryan Gosling. Because if you can slay
From TV?
another human's heart as well as those two men can.
When
You're
was
my
Ryan
idol.
Gosling on TV? See, you just screwed up the entire
movie.
question. You've been
You're
so
right.
focused on drinking
Fine.
that beer and talking to
I
each
said
other.
John Krasinski first. I just threw in an extra.
How old, you're that
from what movie would
John Krasinski wouldn't be a movie. He's The Office.
Yeah.
But apparently this is only applicable to TV shows.
Well,
Yeah, that
who
was the
your
question.
first TV hero?
Yeah.
Okay, TV. Back in your day, TV is like what you would turn on. I'm going to totally get muted at some point tonight. Would only turn on for your shows, right? TV nowadays is just the unit that's on the wall, and it's everything that is within that unit.
You're a unit on the wall. The next off is the guy whose unemployment status is unknown, yet he's still able to travel the world, Mr. David Wavell.
I'm employed.
You are. Yay! David employed.
As
I
of
should shut
Monday.
the cameras.
Well, see, I also thought TV just meant like, movie star. Just saying. Because I was going to say Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Because
Which Obi-Wan, though? Sir Alec Guinness or Ewan McGregor? You're
Ewan
probably going to
McGregor.
go with
I don't. The latest one. Who's it? What do you mean?
Ewan McGregor. Sir Alec Guinness was the first
Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan
Kenobi.
Kenobi.
In which one?
A New Hope.
Star Wars.
The original.
Oh, yes. No. Okay. Sorry.
Jesus, I thought this was
No,
like
no,
a
episode
totally
1,
easy
2.
question.
Yeah.
That's Ewan McGregor.
You discovered something.
I'm surrounding
A
myself with
generation
dipshits.
split what TV is to us to them.
Yeah,
we
that's
had
true.
TV programs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have
Now they just
a
binge
unit
shit.
on the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a unit on the wall.
Anything in the box.
Anything in there is TV.
Okay. Me, I'm the guy who doesn't get dropped. He just ghosts you.
That's fair, yeah. Yeah, you're kind of like, I don't want to play anymore.
I choose to
Yeah.
go behind the riders.
Mhm.
I'm Pat Balter. My first TV hero was Colonel Steve Austin, also known as
$6 million
the $6
man.
million man. And I don't think Lee Majors is with us anymore.
No, I don't think so.
I think
either.
he's dead too.
Is that,
You
what,
guys
what
know who
is
the $6
that?
million man is?
No.
Well,
Is that an Iron Man
the
thing?
budget, no, kind of. Well, he was a test pilot who crashed, and he
Yeah.
the man
crashed.
barely alive.
And so he had bionic arm.
Yeah.
And
He
legs.
is the original Iron Man then.
Well, no, these are surgically implanted.
Yeah, I know, but that wasn't the movie Iron Man or something like that?
No.
No.
$6 million man.
Yeah,
Okay.
$6 million.
Yeah, and it was when the movie.
So there was a
TV
movie.
show. No,
Oh.
it was a TV show.
Okay.
Stop with the movies. This is TV programs.
That's right, everybody. Jackson's not here, but we all need to take a moment, by the way, for Jackson, and not necessarily Jackson, but we do need to show praise where praise is due. Jackson's wife finished the Leavenworth half marathon this weekend, so let's hear it for Maria Bulger. She
Well done.
finished
Well
it
done
off,
to that.
her second half marathon of the year. In beautiful Leavenworth, Washington, during Oktoberfest. You know it's a good one.
Yeah.
And you know what another funny thing is, Paul?
What's that?
I think they went for tacos afterwards.
Wow. Wow.
Blasphemy.
Well, Leavenworth used to be famous for its major Oktoberfest, but I think they got tired of people puking on their streets.
They had a big problem.
Yeah, and
And
so they
Wenatchee
stopped
took
doing
over for a while, and then they started their own, which is more family friendly.
it. Good, yeah. Well, you gotta admit. I mean, I haven't been.
It's
to
a
the,
small town.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cleanup after every night.
Man, yeah, exactly. How's everybody's cycling life? Anybody? David, we're gonna get to you in a minute, and you've got some
Have you rode
explaining
this
to
week?
do.
I
Sam, you ride the
did.
week?
I rode 2 gravel rides. Yeah. I knew how that was going to land.
Hear those
but,
eyes roll.
but
You could hear his eyes roll.
I also did VR, and that's, I think, going to be my new cross training.
VR
Virtual reality, folks. It was
on a bike?
no. That would be interesting.
Was that stupid video of you
Yeah.
dancing? Like you looked like you were playing DDR.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
So stop. Okay, hold on. This is I
Regroup.
asked you-
This is cycling
I
podcast.
asked you how your cycling
Yeah.
life was, and
it's
then you
not
did.
great,
You
but
said,
I did VR.
DDR VR.
what did you VR?
Dude, I hurt so bad.
Dance Dance Revolution.
It's different. It's like I woke up the next morning. So I went on a 1-hour ride with my wife. It was a great time.
Okay.
So then we wake up Sunday morning, and I can barely walk. And I'm like, oh no, babe, I think yesterday's ride was way too hard. I don't know, I'm really out of shape. She's like, it was an hour, and I'm not sore at all. I don't think it was the bike ride.
It was
and I was
because
like,
you danced.
it was video games.
Oh my god.
What a weird world we live in.
Well, I was thinking for a second there. I was
You
like,
don't
going,
have to participate in that world.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I was thinking of you when I was doing that. I was like, Paul ate this.
No.
I was thinking for a minute that like, wow, cycling in a VR that could
That
be kind
could
of
be kind of cool. Like if you could Ruvi right?
Yeah.
In VR, that might be kind of fun.
It's indoors. Nothing indoors is fun.
Oh, wait, it might be more fun.
This has been the most spectacular week of weather we've had.
This
in
has been
Spokane.
beautiful.
And you locked yourself up in something like that?
I was over on the west side, first off.
Oh,
I did ride.
okay.
Second off, I work from sun up to sundown.
So do the rest
It's
of
not
us.
that
So,
hard.
yeah, how am I going
There's
to
a
ride
weekend.
outside? Yeah, I'm going to ride outside this weekend. Okay.
You know, my
We
only other
just
thing.
threw pearls to the swine.
Yeah.
Right
The
there.
only other thing I would have a problem with is with virtual reality in cycling is imagine the headphones we're wearing right now. Have you ever worn the big old headphones when you're riding on the bike?
Yeah.
It's just sweaty and it's
Sweaty, yeah.
gross and it's. Could you imagine now a VR headset on your face?
I think my eyes
It's also
would
like
fill up with
heavy on
sweat.
your. It's also
Yeah.
like heavy on your head.
Is it?
You know, like when you're wearing I mean, the VR is, but like when you're wearing these and you're riding a bike, I've done that.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm trying to watch a movie and I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
hold your head up.
Okay, but just to be clear, I don't think he's talking about a VR experience of cycling. I think he's talking about dodging virtual blocks and like slicing fruit with his.
Well, that's what I did, but
Oh,
it'd
so
be
it
cool if
wasn't
we
all
did
dance.
it. No, I didn't dance at all. It was a shooter game.
It looked like DDR to me.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Look it up, folks.
I just
Pistol
found out Lee
whip.
Majors is still alive.
Yeah, my wife.
I feel
Wow.
horrible.
My wife takes that one in.
Sorry, Colonel Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Well, I mean, he hasn't been in the public eye, you know.
Well, he's probably 90.
He probably is. Yeah. Okay, let's get rid of the dance bullshit. I mean, I would like to try, but that doesn't have anything to do with what we talk about on this podcast. And
That's fair.
Sam
That's
already
fair.
steered us in the wrong
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
So Paul and I, I got one true bike ride in this week, and that was our ride on Sunday, and that was actually a very nice ride.
Yeah. I enjoyed the gentleman that joined us.
Yeah, and I especially enjoyed it because he is at least as tall as I am and big
He's
as I
tall.
am.
He's
And
taller than I
and yeah, and he didn't climb extremely well. And you know how good that made me feel? Have you guys ever thought to reach out and just be nice to Pat for one effing ride?
I
Nope.
bet. Well, you've always had it in you, Pat.
No, you just said it made
You've
you feel
always-
good to have a person slower than you. That's how I feel with having you around. That's why I keep you.
Shit, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
That
he's
really
he's a
makes
crit monster, though.
He is. Well, he made it with the group in the district championships up that climb. I
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
so I got some work to do. Paul, any other rides?
Yeah, I rode today.
You
I
did.
had the day off.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
God, government work.
David, talk to us about your recent trip, young man. And was the bike pre-planned? Was this always along going to be a bike trip?
Yeah, I think it's my favorite kind of vacation is one where you can like explore with a bike and then you get to eat more. And we decided we wanted to go to Italy. I don't remember I think a friend told me it was really pretty or something and there's good biking. I don't remember how we landed on it. It was so long ago. He's like, oh, you should go to Italy. It's like a good experience. And, you know, I was worried the whole time because looking at the weather leading up to it, we were going to go into the Italian Alps and then the Dolomite region of like northeastern Italy. It was supposed to snow.
Yeah.
And we were taking our bikes and we were prepared for climbing. And so I actually took my gravel bike. For one, I didn't want to hurt my road bike travel and like on an airplane or whatever. And then two, higher gears for riding.
Yeah.
But it ended up being amazing. We rode every single day that we could except for one. There was one day we decided to hike for whatever reason instead of ride bikes. But, I mean, we did some of the most historic climbs from Italy and like all over the Giro. I mean, we did these passes that had monuments to the Giro all over them. There was Motorola. That was one of the hardest climbs I'd ever done in my life. Danielle at the base of it, she drove to the base, I rode to the base, was Googling what this climb was, and she pulled up a quote from, what is it, He Who Shall Not Be Named or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Voldemort. Yeah.
Voldemort, that's right. that said, this was the hardest climb I've ever done in my life. And she's sitting at the bottom like, what are we doing? I was like, I don't know. I had no idea until you told me that. I thought we were just going for a bike ride. It was straight up 11.3% for 7 miles.
Oh, shit.
The photo of her at the top was the best thing I've ever seen.
We were both so shocked.
Cross-eyed.
I mean, they build these things for cyclists, though. I mean, the whole way up, they number the corners. They tell you the percent between that corner and the next corner and the distance you have left. And there's little pictures of bikes on it. It was like, I mean, it was such a refreshing experience to see like an entire country built around cycling. Like everybody was respectful of cyclists. It just felt like they wanted you there. The whole entire like economy in some of these places is built around cycling. So, I mean, we did, I think I looked at some numbers at the end. It was like 430 miles over 11 rides.
Wow.
Not that crazy, but we did 55,000 feet of climbing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like it was insane. Every single day was so much elevation. So
why is all bike riding having to do with climbing? Why? Why?
So in that area, that's all you can do.
That's right.
If you go into the other parts of Italy, like, you know, down south of there, dead flat. But I mean, we were specifically there to climb, and it worked out great because I could go up a climb as hard as I wanted and then turn around and go grab my wife. And then go up it again with her. And so I'd end up climbing everything like 1.5 times, which was great because I got one really hard effort, and then I'd get to ride up with her and we'd spend time together and we both got a good workout. So, I mean, it was, all in all, it was a great thing for cycling mentality right now.
Talk to me about, you mentioned the culture, you mentioned those types of things. Out on the roads, how is it out on the roads in terms of other cars, drivers, other cyclists?
Yeah. So
Am I going to be depressed?
No. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
We flew into Milan and we drove up to Bellagio on Lake Como, and we're driving up kind of like sunset-ish, driving on this road. I'm like, well, what the hell, man? We're not going to ride this. This is absolutely insane. This is a 1-lane road, and every time a car comes at me, I feel like I have to go into the dirt. And I was like, well, I don't know where we're going to ride, but it's not here. And the next morning, we get some advice from a local person that grew up on the lake, and they're like, yeah, just do this ride. And I was like, we just drove that. I would never ride that. Like, that seems insane. And then they swore it was safe and you wouldn't feel threatened. And we were like, all right, well, when in Rome. And so
Almost.
We went for it. And I mean, honest to God, it was less threatening than riding out on the Palouse. I mean, yeah, they're narrow roads, but people give you space. They slow down. There's tons of other cyclists on the road. I mean, I would never ride these roads in the U.S., but for whatever reason, people are more respectful. The drivers are more respectful. They expect you to be on the road. They're not pissed off that you're there. That it was never frightening on tiny roads that you would not feel safe on. And then the best thing was, it's like every 10 kilometers you could stop at a cafe. Yeah, and they all had good coffee.
That's the best.
Yeah. And bread.
Man.
Yeah.
Good bread.
Oh, very good bread. Good pastries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Siesta schedule, though, so you got to make sure you're there.
yeah,
at a
they
certain
like
time.
they close down for a minute. So.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? And that brings me kind of like, I want to touch base on this subject again because I've used it before and I'm about to sneeze.
Chew.
There we go. Hit the mute button. Hit the mute button. Was I still on camera?
Well, it picked up on David's
No,
mic.
that was,
everything
that was him. What are you
picks
talking about?
Yeah. My
not your
mood.
podcast,
My
prove
mood
it.
picks up on David's
Yeah.
mic. I started to work on this topic a while ago with a series of videos, and well, I only got 1.5 in. A series called Bike Towns, and thanks to COVID, we never got finished with the Seattle episode and all those types of things. But I want to talk about cities and areas in which to ride and predominantly live, like where you can hang your hat, and what makes one area more, I don't want to say friendly, but better than another, or at least get you a higher letter grade. When I was first doing this series, I rated it on the roads, the quality, the variety of the roads, access to trails and or gravel, and the community itself, what is the community itself like? Are there the cars versus bikes, things like that, and with bike shops and infrastructure and things like that. And then I also included proper pre and post, which are coffee shops and things like that. I don't know if that's necessarily a factor in a cycling place to live, but it would be interesting. And then I also wanted to ask if there were any other categories, for example, weather. What's the average weather like? What's the cost of living like? Those types of things. But what I'd like to do is start to create some sort of a criteria for the best places in the world to live as a bike rider. We met a guy, and I know that Boulder is, thou shalt not speak ill of Boulder. Boulder is beautiful. Boulder's, Colorado. If you're ranking weather on your bike towns for Boulder, they had good, big, huge winters, like worse than ours, don't they?
It's just that they have indoor stuff too.
They do, but also, we lived in Denver for a year, and there are a lot of bikeable days in the winter because it's so sunny down on the plains. And so even if it could randomly warm up into the 40s and 50s in the winter, and then it'll snow the next day. Yeah. But then the snow will be gone in like 3 minutes. So I do think Boulder's weather's actually, it's pretty good as long as you're willing to layer up and not
and
go
be
into
flexible with your.
Yeah, you can't go into the mountains, obviously, but.
So let's start with Spokane. Let's start with a grade base for Spokane. So let's say of those, should we stick with those 7 categories? Unless you guys can think of something else that would factor in.
I think those are good ones.
I blacked out. Was events on there?
That's
I think a big one, like having events, and I'm just saying generally events.
Should that be whistle of the teeth? Should that be classified under community, which is cars, other cyclists, and races and clubs? Maybe should that?
Yeah, that could be under there.
Yeah,
community. Yeah. Okay, so let's say you got to give a scale of 1 to 5 for each of the categories. Okay, 5 being the best because it's places with the most points wins. Okay, so let's start with Spokane, because we all can rate Spokane. Where would you rank Spokane in terms of the quality and the variety of our roads? Where we can, places we can ride
safely,
variety of roads we can, how many directions can we go in? Yeah, those types of things. So what would you guys give on a scale of 1 to 5? Do we want to collectively come up with a number, or we all just rank on our own?
I think 5.
5?
I think 5.
5.
Yeah. I'd give it a 6.
1 to 5, you'd give it a 6.
Oh, okay. 1 to 5.
Yeah.
I thought 1 to 10. I'm thinking 10.
No.
At 5.
5? Yeah. Everybody gives it a 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I will admit, we've got potholes, but who the hell doesn't? But you can go in any direction in this city and
get a different experience, right?
Yeah. And a variety of terrain.
Yeah, we got an ore category climb.
Yeah.
That's only 44 miles to the top from here.
Yeah.
We've got flat, windy, like classic style stuff. We have rolling hills. We have, you could be sheltered down by the river.
Yeah. Okay. How about, Paul, you can still talk on this. Access to trails and gravel. I would give us a 5 on that too, because we've got Riverside State Park. We've got Mount Spokane State Park. We've got farm roads everywhere. Yeah.
I'd give it a 5.
Okay. Look at us. You agree, Sam?
5. Yeah.
Okay. Traffic. Now, this is the community. Traffic and community, both positive. Well, God, that's a hard category to put into one.
I think we need to separate out community from like traffic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Or I'll put that down at traffic. Or ills. Ills, bad shit. So community, other cyclists, races and clubs. Oh shit.
I think this one's hard because I wish we had more road, but I think when you factor everything in, it would be somewhere between a 4 and it's probably closer to a 4 because we just don't have enough road stuff. But like when you factor in all of the mountain bike races, the cross races, the 24-hour race, like we have so many
cross races aren't happening this year.
Well, I know. Unfortunately, that's why it's like, now I'm starting to wonder.
I give it a 3.5 on that.
Yeah. I'm in there. I unfortunately, we used to be a 5.
Oh yeah, easy.
I'm thinking we're a 3 now. Yeah.
I think that's But I think there's also a lot of other events and stuff that go on around the area that are. I would give it a 4.
Okay.
It's not perfect.
I think it's interesting because that number would have changed before COVID. COVID really hit us hard in this area for like promoters and stuff for events, because it was
This is true.
It was really booming not really booming, but booming pretty good, and then it went backwards.
Well, and I'll talk about it again, that the cost of putting on a race has increased so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of our local promoters who are putting on the mountain bike races aren't doing them through USAC. They're doing through their own private insurance companies,
Right.
because it saves them so much money in the long run. Bike shops and infrastructure. How are those types of things? We've got a lot of bike shops.
Yeah.
Now,
Infrastructure being like bike lanes and stuff for accessibility in the roads.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I honestly
good?
think it is actually. Did we talk about this on this podcast? We brought somebody in from Europe.
We've
like
done
2 years.
450 episodes.
I don't
so who
remember
knows
anymore.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
were you talking about it on your other podcast?
What?
Yeah.
You cheating bitch.
No.
Yeah.
I heard from somebody that we had brought in this guy from Europe who did a lot of the planning in the Netherlands for bike accessibility, and he is why we saw the other day on one of our local rides that they are blocking off one of the lanes, turning one of them into the bike lane, so he mapped out a whole bunch of different infrastructure. So supposedly we are still working on that, and I do see some improvement.
Yeah.
What do we give it?
I'd say
4.
yeah,
3.5, 4, 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
I don't think pre and post need to be a part of it, because our community, we've got great coffee and beer, and I think
Yes, we do.
I think that's a given anymore. I think it's sometimes when you're traveling, weather. How are we going to give ourselves a grade on weather?
Boy, next month it's until March. It sucks.
Yeah, it does suck, and I hate to admit that.
I think March through September earn us a solid 3.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot, obviously, 5's off the table.
Pies off the table, but I'm not going to give up 4 because, like, mountain biking is incredible here at that time of year. Like, it's switching into the mountain bike. And
You
it's,
have to use headlights. You have to...
but not on the weekends. You know,
That's
like,
true.
on the weekends, like, you guys are going to be indoors, and I'll go out and ride dirt.
Yeah.
You know, even when it's
Or even
like...
the fat bike if you have one.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So they
there's
still
there
make
are-
those?
You know, or cross-country skiing. Like, you know, there's other, like, what cyclists do that
Yeah.
I think... So I'd give it a 4. No
Wow,
better.
That's nice. Cost of living
Oh, man.
in
This
terms
is
of bike towns.
Oh, this is cheap.
Yeah,
Man,
we're a 5.
inflation
Yeah.
these
Oh, yeah.
days.
Yeah.
It'd be easy to get upset about cost of living in Spokane going
Yeah.
up, but it is way
I
more
know.
affordable.
It's like
Yeah.
it's one of those
Yeah.
things that, you know, it was like an unbelievable hidden treasure, like 2019 and prior.
Yeah.
But then, like, we got bumped up a little, but it's still insanely.
I don't
affordable.
want people to know.
Yeah, don't
listen to
come
this
here.
show.
No.
It
Spokane
sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
Actually, if you're a cyclist, you should come here.
Yes.
But don't bring your friends that aren't.
Well, if you're a cyclist that can't climb, you can come here.
Good point. Yeah, you need friends.
Yeah, I do. So where do we say? Okay, so that
My mom.
Oh gosh.
18, 19, 20, 21 and a half. So we've got a 21 and a half out of 35. What? I can't have done that right. 5, 10, 15, 18.
Theater major.
What's 15?
Divide by 2 and carry the 3. That's what I learned.
26.5
there you go.
out of 30? No. Shit. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23, 26.5. Yeah, I was right. 26.5 out of 35. How many points are we going to take away for our ills, for our traffic, for our,
Yeah.
and things like that? How many points
I've
do you
been
take
worse
away?
places in the U.S.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, that's something else. Right in South L.A. North
Yeah.
L.A. is pretty good, but South L.A. is like, oh.
So do you take any points away? Because, I mean, yes, we have assholes, but
As a general
a
rule,
lot of places do. I mean, we're not
10
Italy.
minutes, you're out of town, and man, on like Sunday mornings, it's the best time to ride around here on the
Yeah.
road. You won't see people for miles and miles.
It also just depends on when you ride. I mean, that's why David and I were talking so much about we really do enjoy the early morning rides in the summer because, like, man, 6 a.m. is freaking quiet.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
amazing time to ride in the summer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Angry people are still asleep.
Angry people
They
are
are.
still asleep. And so it's like, and then there's just areas in Spokane that you just don't go. But I think that that's going to be anywhere. I mean, like, well, who's going to want to go ride through the middle of Bangkok, right? Like, it's just like, it's not a good place to ride. Going to North Spokane isn't a great place to ride. People throw things at you. Anybody who lives in North Spokane is like, no, come up here.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I maybe take away 1 point.
I don't know, -5.
Yeah. You go -5 because you've had an incident.
He was taken out.
Yeah, I'd give us a pretty low grade on that one.
Okay, so that's individual then. Okay, so if we're taking away 5, so we're still at 21.5. Or let's split the difference, 23.5. Okay,
Fair.
out of 35.
Fair.
That's not the greatest grade in the world, but that's not bad. So tell me some of the places
Kind of like Spokane.
Tell me some of the places you would be willing to put to the test. What is a community that you think could rank as well or higher than Spokane, Washington?
Bellingham.
In the U.S.?
Washington.
Preferably in the U.S. because that's just not fair. We gotta win.
Bellingham could get
Bellingham would.
What makes Bellingham better?
Weather?
No.
Yeah, weather. Sure.
Rain?
Yep.
No, don't do it.
You
No.
could ride.
I
You
don't-
are complaining
I've
about not
ridden-
being
I've
able to
ridden in the
ride.
rain all my life. It's not
No, but it
enjoyable.
doesn't rain all the time. In
It's
the
not
winter,
fun, is it?
I did multiple times.
David's over there
Yeah.
going.
No.
No.
Do you have to have fenders?
No,
I
no.
would
There
give
are
it-
a lot of times in the winter that you will have a really nice day. It's gonna be 45 degrees, and you could go do 80 miles and not get wet, and it's January, right? You could also, honestly, at some point it stops raining, and you can go out and ride. Like, it's not every day it rains
roads
all
are
day
wet?
long. No, like, not always. The Bellingham spit. It's
I
like a
just
mist.
don't think I would say it would be better than Spokane. I'd put it on par.
Better.
But because it's like, the coldest I have ever been in my fudging life was when you made me ride to La Conner, and you're just going to Bellingham spit the whole way.
yeah.
It'll be fine. And we get to the cafe, and I'm like, what the actual fuck are we doing outside right now? This is not funny. Like 40 degrees and pissing. I'm just
It's a
like,
great
this
ride if anybody wants to do that.
Is, no.
I have family that live in Lacona.
Yeah, we should
I've
do
ridden
it.
to Bellingham.
We can go up to Bellingham and back.
The
we
Chuckanut?
stayed.
Yep.
Yeah.
We stayed there.
Yeah, we did.
For their
I've
EPO.
ridden Chuckanut.
Yeah.
It's crazy, unless you're there on a
Unless you
weekend.
time it.
I don't
Right.
know. There's roads that I drove on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people riding, but I didn't.
They didn't look
There
happy.
wasn't. No, there was not much of a shoulder.
No, yeah, it depends. There's,
Yeah,
there's
it's just
good places and bad
So
places.
you're
yeah.
saying it just rank higher than Spokane?
It does
I
rank
don't know
higher.
if it should rank higher than Spokane.
Have you been to Galbraith?
I would,
I don't
it's
even know
gonna
what
it's
you're
gonna
saying.
win on trail access for sure.
Yeah.
I will say we rode in Seattle, and the Seattle residents are trying to convince us that this was a bike mecca. No fucking way.
No.
Other than the people there.
Yeah, they're great people, absolutely. But when you've got to put your bike on a car technically to get to a ride, or you're going to ride the Mercer Island
work.
Loop,
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me.
I agree
You can
with
only
that.
do that so many times.
Yeah.
So many stoplights that either you need to
Yeah.
blow through and be a dick,
Mhm.
or you,
Sit in traffic.
sit in traffic.
Yeah.
So I agree.
And I'm sure they have. Oh, we have great trails here, but you got to put your bike on the car to get there.
Yeah.
And it's probably like that Monday, Wednesday, Friday BS where you like share with hikers.
yeah.
Freaking hikers.
And,
Get off the trail.
And I did do a full feature in Bend. Bend is a beautiful place to ride your bike. Absolutely, hands down, beautiful place to ride your bike. You can go and get lost everywhere. Cost of living is insane.
Yes.
Insane.
Yeah, cost
I
of
don't
living
think
is
that
insane.
Bend beats us by much.
I don't
Like,
either.
I mean, they definitely don't beat us by the cost, obviously. But I think that other things, it's good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's
Infrastructure, they have a community behind it, though, too. They have very
Absolutely.
much
But
community
like, if you
behind
look at Bachelor, right? Like, that's the exact same thing as Riverside. It's bigger.
it. Yeah.
It's the same freaking thing.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the things that I think needs to go in the equation is the different type of routes
Yeah.
that you can take out of Spokane. Now, Coeur d'Alene is beautiful, but there is not really a lot of places you want to ride your road bike. That type of thing. And, the rides that you do choose are great, but we have such a massive, and I think that's part of the equation. I don't know about Ben, if there's a lot of them, but they're great rides, but there's only 10 when we have like 150.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a big, big factor.
This is why I think it'd be such a fun series to be able to go to these communities with the locals. And that's what I did with the Ben show, was I was able to ride there. I was able to ride with Bart Bowen, former U.S. Pro Champion, actually, who rode really well at the Gravel Worlds this weekend in his age group.
I think he promoted Cascade
Classic for a while. And it's cool to ride those areas with people and get that feel. And I spoke with the mayor there, and see talking about infrastructure and how much they care, which is really cool. I can't let this story go by without David obviously being able to mention
San Luis Obispo. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was stressed we weren't going to say it.
Yeah.
He's been sitting over there this whole time.
Yeah.
Seriously though, other than cost of living, that's the downside in San
Cost of
Luis
living's
Obispo.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything. I mean, people are great. I can actually compare two experiences. I've been hit in both places, and
You just have a punchable face.
yeah, I do. I have a punchable face. The one in
One was my
do
fault
about
and
it.
one was the
Nothing.
driver's fault.
yeah, but the one in San Luis, they were genuinely concerned for my well-being.
They were.
Yeah. It was like just a good person that hit me by accident.
Good variety.
Yep, great variety.
Yeah,
Because you have
it is.
the dead flat coastline, and then you have the the mountains that you can go up. If you head inland, you can go from 60 degrees in the winter. You can climb up over the mountains, and it can be 70 or 80. I mean, yeah, it's wonderful variety, good community.
I think next year instead of Maui, San Luis Obispo.
I agree for
Oh,
training.
wow.
Yeah,
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
we would go this year if you didn't talk us into Maui.
It's going to be amazing.
If you had to leave, if you had to move from Spokane right now, with all the requirements of what we just spoke about, where would you go?
To ride bikes.
To live and be
In the
an
US.
active cyclist. Yeah.
In the
In the U.S.
Okay.
Is
San
this
Luis
like
Obispo.
Fantasyland, or do you have to take into reality like your pay,
Yeah, absolutely.
your spouse, all
yeah,
that
equal
Bellingham?
move. Equal move.
Yeah, it has
I'm
to
not
be.
moving.
You're
Well, you have to.
It's
You have to
hypothetical
move.
where you have to.
I for what we have, the cost of living, everything, what we've mentioned, and there's like
So your
for
wife
cycling.
just put you down like on the Oregon Trail. You die of dysentery in Spokane, and she moves on.
She's,
Yeah.
You gotta leave.
You're just gonna die here. Only way I'm leaving Spokane is feet
Yeah,
first.
feet
is what
first,
Paul's saying.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I mean, I can adjust. I had a good time riding down at Palm Desert.
Yeah.
I
couldn't
I
go
think
there.
there was pretty limited type of rides there. Traffic was a very big negative down there. But I'd like to experience North LA. Our teammate Dan Felk is trained down there, and he says it's unbelievable. There's hills, and it's more bike oriented on Northern LA. I've ridden a lot in the South LA area, and that is not fun.
Yeah. I spent some time in Grass Valley, California, which is Northern California, near Nevada City. Great riding, really great riding, remote riding. But I would probably go to my wife and I have gone to La Conner a lot of times to visit her, my sister-in-law, and there's a lot of great riding around there. There is a lot of good riding. I don't necessarily know if I could handle all the clouds, but I would go there probably.
Yeah. I mean,
I love Northern Idaho, but I would not be a bike rider in Northern Idaho.
No.
I would go to
did a
Montana.
fit.
Montana's beautiful, but I can't afford to live in Bozeman.
I just did a fit on somebody that lives up in Chewelah, though, which similar vibes, right? To
Yeah.
North Idaho.
Absolutely.
Some hill people up there.
Yeah.
Should say.
I think
Jackson. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so.
I don't think Jackson actually has any power.
He
over us.
does. 'Cause
I think he just kind of.
I could hear his voice. You go, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's true.
okay.
That's true.
All jokes
That's
aside.
true. Yeah,
He was saying, he's like, actually, it's really great. There's great riding, but it is all like fire roads that he's doing. He's not doing road riding, so it's different type of riding.
Sure.
Which in Idaho, like I went and I've done a lot of riding in northern Idaho. but I did all gravel.
Yeah.
Right? So it just changes your style with where you live.
Depends
And I
on
think you have
where
to
in
be
northern
flexible,
Idaho you are,
which is
because
why-
my wife is born and raised in a town in northern Idaho, and she told me, like, back in those days, she's like, if you get a flat, do not ask anybody for help, because they will think that, Ruby Ridge, was in my wife's town. If you don't know Ruby Ridge, look it up. It was a guy who thought that people were cops, and they turned out to be cops, but it turned into a gigantic gunfight.
Shootout.
Yeah. And so she's like,
With the family.
if you walk up somebody's driveway with shaved legs, flashy colors, and a bike, they're just going to put a hole in you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I know that's very unfair to a lot of people in Idaho and northern Idaho.
Yeah.
It's not all of them, but the unfortunate thing is there's a bigger percentage than there is here.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
that's
ratio.
still not saying anything great. We have a good share of them.
Even that put aside up there, the roads aren't really designed. It's a chip seal, a very rough chip seal for road riding.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is. Hardly any shoulders.
Yeah.
No.
A lot
Yeah.
of logging trucks. People fly. I mean,
Yeah.
speed limit is a speed limit sign is a suggestion. It's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
regulatory.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not modern.
No.
Yeah. That's okay. There we go. So let's jump into our canoes, our news. Brought to us by our friends at Muck Off. Keep it clean, keep it smooth, and keep it forever, even if it has rim brakes.
thumbs up.
Oh, I left the camera on you guys too. God, I keep fucking this up. Jackson, get over here. The Gravel World Championships happened this weekend. Paul, you can't leave.
I watched it.
Okay, and if you weren't paying attention, one might say it was just a really dirty road race. I'm going out on a limb here. I am calling it the Bike Path World Championships.
Yeah.
The women's edition was a final battle between Shocker, Mariana Voss, and Lotta Kopecky. With Voss topping out Kopecky in the sprint, securing yet another rainbow jersey to her GOAT collection. And the men's edition was also a true test of gravel. Not really. Matthew van der Poel brought it home solo with an effort reminiscent of his spring campaign. With Florian Vermeesch, Quentin Ehrmans, Jasper Stuyven, Gianni Vermeesch, Connor Swift, Matty Mohoric, Tim Merlier. Stop me when you hear a rider that is a quote-unquote gravel rider.
It's not it's the same as like the last year's race in the sense that that's not, I mean, okay, I was thinking about this when I was riding over the weekend on gravel.
You were dancing.
Yes. True, I did that too.
Got him.
And I was thinking about it. I'm like, the unique thing that we do have with gravel is that there are a whole bunch of different terrains, right? Hopefully at some point they honestly send somebody up some crazy climb that's super chunky and all that, and we end up seeing somebody else that's more dominant win, right? That's a roadies course is what they just put people on, and it's the same thing that they did last year. So obviously a gravel rider is not going to win that.
Well, and that's my issue. It's because here in the U.S., which is the, I guess, unofficial home of where gravel started. We started mountain biking too, and things like that. Races are different, bikes are different, terrain is different, and I don't know, and I know that differentiating different areas and things like that, I'm saying different in a lot of different forms.
So that's different.
Yeah, that's
Different.
is should be welcomed, but I also think, should we get to the point that there needs to be some sort of a standard to classify a bike race as a gravel race?
But that's not in the spirit of gravel. To make rules.
You just wanted to
Or
say
standards.
spirit of gravel.
Oh my God.
I don't know if there should be a percentage of road that needs to be.
So how much
Dirt
was
surface.
not paved
I
on
didn't.
this world?
I don't know. I saw a shit ton of roads though.
And I mentioned this to you. If you,
I know, and I
Simon,
can't learn.
Simon Richardson of GCN did
Oh, I didn't
both
watch.
Steamboat
Yeah.
and then also the Worlds as a veteran, as they call it in the Brits. The Limeys.
Yeah.
And anyway, he said it's different, and he goes, what people didn't see was the 80 kilometers before the circuit. And he goes, that was that was tough. He goes, it was brutal.
Was it gravel?
It was off-road type thing. But
Okay, okay.
But he said, we don't have what America has, what we call gravel. But neither is Unbound. It's not really gravel. They have flint rock and dirt too. It's just not what do you classify as gravel?
Gravel for me is crushed rock. And
yeah, but he brought up some points I thought were interesting, because this is an area I don't care. But
I'm just
but it was
trying to give my
interesting
2
because I
cents.
think
And yet
everybody,
here we are.
and I understand your point of view. I'm just saying, well, this is I like watching like programs that political or it would like the one side to the other and stuff, like a debate. And he brought up a point that during what was it, Unbound, the winning time they averaged, or winning speed was 38 kilometers an hour or something like that for 10 hours, or maybe just under 37 or something, 37.5. It was only 4 hours for the World Championships, and Matthew Van Der Poel, of all people, was 38 kilometers an hour. So you can't tell me that was an easy course.
Okay.
Just by speed. The size of the tires were from the winners are exactly the same, 38C.
They were running bigger tires.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah. So they were running 38Cs, both for Unbound, the winner of Unbound, and also the winner of. So these are good points. Is like what makes gravel, and one of his points is like just like the World Championships. There's some years where it's just a hill climber's course. The hill climbers can be world champion. There has to be a variety, and the UCI doesn't put on races. But you have to, if somebody in the United States is frustrated saying, that's not true gravel, I want to put on a gravel race, contact the UCI and put it on, and they'll probably be more than glad to make that the World Championship. But this is my take on it. Here in the United States, this gravel mentality is like, dude, we don't want any rules. We don't, screw the UCI. Well, then this is what you get.
Yep.
So
A lot of U.S. riders chose not to attend.
they couldn't afford.
Because USAC didn't have the money to send them, and because there's a Lifetime Grand Prix event this weekend, and there's money at the Lifetime Grand Prix. All the research I've done, and I could be wrong, Mathieu Van Der Poel received zero money for winning the World Championships.
Yeah.
Other than I'm saying outside of sponsorship dollars.
Okay,
I'm saying there was no prize money
but also
on the line.
If any one of those U.S. riders won the world, you name the bike company and all their sponsors, they're like, here's $10,000 minimum.
I think winning the Lifetime Grand Prix is probably better in terms of sponsorship dollars for those riders here in the States.
Then the UCI World Champion? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the U.S. has not been on top for much in the last many years. And, I mean, we've had a couple of contenders in that. But that would be huge if we won Worlds.
I also found out that there was something that very similar that this race had in common with a lot of gravel races is the thing that made me the most stressed while watching the footage. Passing age groupers within the last 10 miles of the race in a very tight space. You've got all these age groupers who are just kind of cruising along, and you've got Mathieu Van Der Poel weaving in and out of them, timing his corners early, all this type of stuff.
What is an age grouper?
You.
Me.
Us. People.
I race 60 plus. They
got
got
put
a
them
different
all
start
on
time.
the.
All
start 'em
started
same
earlier.
time.
Yeah.
It's gravel, man. There's no rules.
Don't ruin the spirit, man.
What?
Yeah.
That is stressful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I found that a little bizarre. I found that, I remember Unbound in its earlier years, you would have the top guys sprinting down the same stretch as people waving, going, I finished my first 30 miler.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. But they have since split that roadway into halves. So one half of the road is for the elites finishing. The other half is for Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Those types of things. So I don't know. I still think there needs to be a little more strict, a little more structure in terms of how it all goes. There were a couple things that were interesting that came out of it. Jasper Stuyven accused many of the Belgian riders of supporting Mathieu Van Der Poel.
And they admitted it.
Because they did admit it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
They were like, we weren't going to win the race, so why wouldn't we?
So go for a team
Yeah.
bonus instead of a...
They didn't block. They just said they didn't help chase.
Also, Mariana Voss used the tire inflation system hooked to her Magic Hub. So that should be interesting if that comes back. I remember Perry Roubaix was talking about it, and it really did not happen.
Like
And
variable
then,
tire pressures?
Yeah.
You can adjust it on the fly. So
Yeah.
you go in the cobbles, drop down
mini
to
compressor.
50, 45.
Which, like, on a road bike isn't, there's not enough tire, but on a gravel bike, that is huge.
How
If
much-
you blow that up on a road surface and you're running like 45, PSI and a 38 cc tire, and then you go over gravel stuff and you drop that down to like 30,
Yeah.
huge advantage.
So how much we all going to be paying for that someday?
Never.
Never.
Quick question for everybody.
Yeah.
Do you think at the very least they need to have like a tire minimum?
For a gravel race?
Because it needs to be different than a long cross race.
I'm
like,
not
Didn't
disagreeing.
Keegan run?
Swenson.
Yeah, Keegan
Yeah.
Swenson ran like a 60C tire on one of the events.
A
It's a
lot,
mountain,
Yeah,
it was a
yeah,
mountain
yeah.
bike.
a lot of people are running mountain tires.
It was on
on
Leadville, I think.
some of the more intense gravel races in the U.S. that have really gnarly terrain. But when you're running, like, basically it's just like a lot of these are just really long cross races, right? Like,
I would be interesting, and I've thought this for multiple different aspects of sports nowadays. If you like more boxed it in, like this is equipment that you have to stay within. Like you could have 25s to 30s, right? But it's like there's no variation outside of that. You could also limit gearing. You could there's so many different things to just take a lot of the tech out of it and make it more fair and stock like NASCAR.
You know why it's not going to?
Because
It's
you're
never
taking away
gonna.
the
Because
spirit,
the
man.
industry.
I know, it's never
It's
gonna.
the
I'm not-
industry pushes
yeah,
this.
I know.
Because all it does is create Tadej Pogacar runs 32s in the back and 30s in the front. I've got to do that. Oh, I need 165 cranks. He
Yeah.
seems to run one. So there's that constant purchase. So the industry has a lot of drive, in my opinion, on what happens in races.
And I think you should have to drink at least 16 ounces of IPA after every
2 shots. of
That's
bourbon.
the spirit of beer.
Two
The
shots
spirit.
of
Whoop.
Whoa, it is.
What's on Pet's mind? In other news that Paul Main doesn't care about, the man continues to reinvent professional cycling career. Lachlan Morton has torn around Australia, delivering an astoundingly quick time of 30 days, 9 hours, and 59 minutes for a lap of his home nation, according to EF Education Easy Post. While this is too soon for the usual people to declare it a new cycling record, it is the effort that over 14,000 K that finished on Saturday, shaved around a week off the fastest known supportive times. Anybody got everybody else is standing up, but a thought on this type of challenge and how it is changing the sport to a certain degree? Paul's just going to stay over at the keg and go, fuck that. This style of fastest known times becoming a very, very very popular growing element of the sport.
It's also accessible.
It is.
You
And
know,
every
which is
Joe
kinda
can
fun.
go out and try it
Yeah.
and die on the trail of dysentery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can compare
Yeah.
yourself to this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that if any pro like Lachlan Morton goes out and does this stuff, then he's gonna win it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like whatever the U.S. one. Do you like the Northern Divide or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
Smoked it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but it's still fun to be able to compare ourselves to them.
This isn't camping, by the way. He's not bike packing.
He's not even like
That's
freaking
why I'm reporting on
sleeping
it.
Yeah,
when he's
because
doing it.
he's got a follow vehicle
Yeah.
and a place to sleep. And
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool for, like Sam's saying, being able to compare yourself to. It's good for the culture to be able to compare yourself to, like, hey, this is what, like, it's usually big names, like we did the last year when I was in Moab, we did that the White Rim 100 mile. The friend that I did it with the whole time was kind of joking about getting the FKT from Keegan Swenson. Like, haha, yeah, we're not gonna come close.
Should we try to take this from Keegan?
But you get to the end and you're roasted, and you look at your time, and you're like, it just gives you a perspective, like a lot of respect for these guys. And I think it's just cool to see. I mean, one of the cool things about all those climbs in Italy was when you open up your Strava, the top 10 are all like
Pros.
professional. Yeah, like Niebly's on there. Like that was like one of the most famous names I saw. But I'm like, holy crap! I can like compare myself to these people that I watch on TV. And so I think the fastest known time culture is pretty fun. I think it brings.
I love
spirit.
this kind of shit.
Yeah.
I truly do. This is the kind of stuff that I could get into. I thought bikepacking was going to be cool. And then I slept on a shit pad in the middle of nowhere, and the nearest place to get a beer was 25 miles away, and the person at the camp host was like, "Hey, there's a mini mart only 20 miles away." And I'm like, that's 40 miles for me. I've already ridden 6 hours in 110 degree heat.
You
Eat
did it
shit.
wrong.
No
I
Nespresso
know I
in the
did it
morning.
wrong. No. And so this kind of thing I could almost get behind.
Yeah.
Like, there was one part of me that was thinking, how cool would it be to take multiple summers and just do a chunk across the country? So, like, one summer I do the state of Washington and northern Idaho in one trip. Let's say it takes, however long it takes. Then the next summer, you drive and or fly back to wherever you stopped and continue and go another however many more miles. And you keep doing it summer after summer until you find yourself on the East Coast. I just thought that'd be a really cool adventure and a challenge to do. Paul doesn't give a flying fuck. He's
Nope. It's
going,
like-
you invited me to the wrong show. is
What's
what he's
that?
saying.
What's the trail up in Canada that we were talking about this last?
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 700 miles
Yeah.
or something
It
like
goes
that.
from-
The Trans-Canada or something like that. Yeah,
That
isn't it?
feels
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Um,
go all the way. It just goes.
It doesn't
from
go all the way across,
Vancouver,
obviously. Yeah, it's like
east.
Vancouver
Oh, okay.
east 700 miles, but it's all like a railroad, isn't it?
No, it's a single track. It goes. It's. I can't remember.
I thought that all of it was pretty mellow grades. It doesn't really matter, but it doesn't it. Am I remembering this wrong? That like there's hotels that are every like 100 miles ish or something like that,
Yes.
and so it's like you could do kind of this, and it's like, hey, let's like try to chug this out, like
Yeah.
because that I'm into. I'm
And then
not
you're staying in
sleeping
a
on
hotel at
I'm
night.
not sleeping on the ground.
No, I'm not
Not
doing that
doing
anymore.
it.
By the way, I have all
I've
my
leveled out.
bikepacking gear for sale. If anybody,
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I am selling
Make
that
me
shit.
an offer.
There's no way I'm
Yeah.
going to keep that shit.
Yeah.
Not even the big fat saddlebag that you used. It's just like, no, if I have to carry that much, something's wrong.
Here's what I have to say.
I'm homeless.
Here's what I have to say about Lachlan and what's the Scottish guy that's GCN follows too? I can't remember his name.
Oh,
They
yeah,
went
yeah,
around the
yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah.
Those are great because it promotes cycling, and I think that's all good. And if that's what you like to do, that's fine. I have no problems with it at all. But as an appeal for me, that is never why I got into cycling. Not one bit. Mine was give me no more than 4 hours as fast as I can. That's
Okay.
That's where the appeal is. But I think it's a good statement for people because it brings a awareness. Like the people down in Australia are probably like going, "What? Some guy just rode all the way around and whatever he did. I can't remember how many days he did
Is
it.
that how people sound in
Yeah.
Australia?
Yeah.
No,
That's very southern.
Crikey, mate.
Australia, crikey.
Crikey, mate.
What
You
a
rode
nice
all
guy.
the way around there.
Hey, he didn't even stop for a Bobby.
Jesus.
It's terrible.
That's almost as bad.
Well,
Yeah.
Man, we have this. The owner
That's
of
not a
our
knife. I'll
last
show you a
cycling
knife.
team is Australian, and he was making fun of an Australian one time, and he goes, and in his Australian accent, and he just gets more Australian.
He does.
You're all like pausing and looking like, is it kosher to make fun of this guy right now?
Well, but I do have to also mention that after 108 days, 12 hours, and 12 minutes, Leah Wilcox circled the globe.
no,
Yeah.
She just finished.
Who's she?
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's the guy who says, like, it's on our iTunes reviews. Well, that's why I need all the listeners to give us iTunes reviews so we can push that
Push
one
that
down.
one down.
Yeah, push
Yeah.
that one down the list.
Yeah.
I didn't know who she was.
That's fair.
I wasn't into ultra endurance kind of stuff like that.
Still not.
She's a freaking machine,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Oh my God! 18,125 miles with, ready for this, 630,000 feet of climbing. Yeah, 108 days.
And I
I
have
did
to ask.
1/12 of that.
You did.
I have to ask. Does that appeal to anybody at this table?
Never.
I couldn't do
No.
that. I don't
No.
think.
How
I
about a
could do
half?
No.
No.
1/4?
No.
1/12?
I had somebody.
I mean, I would, like I said, I would do it in chunks, and I would do like 5-6 day trips. I wouldn't go beyond like
If you said,
10
hey,
days.
Sam,
I wouldn't go beyond 10
got
day
your-
efforts.
You got your paycheck coming in for the next 5 years. Go for it. I'd be like, I'll see you in Maui.
No, if somebody told me that all expenses were paid and my family was going with me and they'd be at the hotel, probably bored out of their fucking skulls by the time they saw me and they'd get sick of smelling me and all that kind of shit. But it's crossing my mind.
Never.
So, do you remember Jason? You interviewed him. He did some big ride. He's a local guy.
Striker. Yeah. He just finished one.
Yeah, he just finished one. He got 4th place.
Yeah.
And he had to sew up his tire.
He blew his tire out so badly that
They
he had to actually needle
stitch
and
it
thread
together.
the side of it. Yeah. He's a stud. He is a machine.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
And what he did, would you be interested? Because it wasn't
Partial. Yeah. I would.
No.
You're broken.
He's still
No,
he's camping though.
Your parents never.
I'm not
loved you.
camping. I think my parents. My
You're
parents.
just seeking.
My parents
you're
might
just
not.
Seeking
My parents
approval.
might not, and I understand that. My parents know that they do, and they tell me they do, but they might not. They might not really love me, and I get it.
I get it.
I don't know if my wife loves me. Sometimes I look at her, and the way she looks at me is this is. What?
How did I end up?
And
with
I
you?
get it. I get it.
Hearing this, you
bad
get
talk
it.
about bad karma.
Yeah. So that's maybe why I would want to spend all that time on my bike. No, this is something that personally, my body has always been good at. When I was a kid, when I was a junior, we went down to. Well, we didn't. I went down. My parents put me on a plane.
There we go
these days.
again.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, they just got.
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
Are
with Pat?
we getting to the bottom
The
of something
strange
here?
thing was the house was in a different place. No, and they put me on a plane to Mammoth, and I did like a 5-day stage race down there. And as the race progressed, I got better. And I this is something I've never realized about myself because I've always been doing classic road cycling where it's short weekend events and these types of things. And as I've gotten into these gravel events and stuff like that, my body is a battery, and I kind of like doing it.
Weren't
I
you
hate it.
also
but I like it.
climbing up a mountain every day?
What are you talking about?
And
Yeah.
Mammoth,
So
yeah,
maybe you should
Mammoth
climb
was a
more.
big.
No, absolutely.
you'd
I
be
need to
better.
climb more. Don't be a dick. I do need to climb more. I know I need to climb more. I know I need to lose this. I know that when I'm getting ready and brushing my teeth, my wife comes by and pokes me in the stomach, and I kind of go.
Wow, that's
Oh God! Are the crescent rolls ready?
holy crap. That is
a
shockingly
spiral.
similar.
I got all kinds of shit like that. So all
He's
right.
Poppin' Fresh, I tell you.
Right.
That's his new name,
Okay.
Poppin' Fresh.
Wow.
All right, back to news that Paul can relate to. Resplendent in the rainbow jersey for the first time in a race, Tadej Pogacar attacked with 37K to go to claim solo victory in the 2024 Giro d'Emilia. I hope I got that right. Did I, David? You were the most recent in that country. It's accelerated on again a far attack from far out. You know, this classic thing. In a quintessential Pogacar performance that as he danced clear of the group, never to be seen by his competitors again, and winning by a margin of almost 2 minutes. This win, his first in the rainbow jersey. How can anyone race against this anymore? Are we getting tired of it, or okay? We're not
No.
getting tired of it.
No.
It's not going to last for long.
You don't think so?
No.
How-
About
why so?
4 or 5 more years. I think that's
Exactly.
I don't even think so. I think he's burning his battery. I just think that a human being can only do this for so long. He is an incredible specimen. I think he is the greatest of all time, but I do think that there is a cap to this, and I'm going to say 3 years hard stop. And there will be somebody.
So it'd be 29
Yeah,
at that point.
I think at 29 he's gonna meet his at some point
Somebody else is going to.
somebody else is gonna come along in which he's still doing well. Don't get me wrong, but he's not doing this.
I would have to agree with that. It's
Yeah.
not. I mean,
Yeah,
even
it's-
Merckx was the same way, where he was winning everything, and then it started getting a little bit.
3 years hard stop.
And that was the time, if we think about it, that window of 5 Tours de France, 5 things like this, a lot of riders winning that, because that window of human physical peak and excellence. I mean, David, you might be able to speak on this one. How's your genetics?
It's like, well, look at my brother.
Yeah.
That's the slope down.
Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I look to in the future.
Yeah, he's like,
3
all
years
right,
from
so
now, that's
in
what I have
3
to look
years
forward
from
to.
now, I'm going to be
Oh,
that
shit.
fat and slow.
No. Yeah, exactly. Those 5-year windows used to be kind of the thing, because that was what you could really maintain. And winning the 6th tour, 7th tour, you had to probably be on massive amounts of EPO and one less testicle.
I think I know what you're talking
Well, it
about.
made
that
him lighter.
Voldemort?
It made him lighter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what? So if you were a team director, thinking there, sitting down at and yes, we're going to talk about Il Lombardia here in a second. But if you're the team director, sitting down, years over, you finally in your private room, and you just you want to scream at the walls like Nick Cage and Longlegs, Mommy, Daddy. How do you plan for this? How do you plan to make a dent in this guy next year? Or do you just plan on seeing what else is left? You're Patrick Lefevre. You've got Remco Evenepoel. But is it really going to be magically something that's going to happen?
Okay, so look at what Sky did, right? And everybody's like, oh, it's so boring. What's different between what Sky did and just Jumbo and UAE doing it better? Like, it is just better. So they're going to have to come up with some athlete that is like, oh, you're going to go from 100K? I'll go from 150K. It's like, you can't beat that strategy. Like, he can just solo away. Yeah. I mean, all the people in Worlds were on their knees behind him. And that was like some of the best riders in the whole world. So it's like, you can't beat that unless you just have better power to weight ratio. I had a friend that was, Ryan, the temporary teammate that we had. He was texting me the watts to kilo of like zone 2 for 146 pound Pogacar doing, I think it was 320 watts or something.
That's just zone 2.
That's zone 2.
Matteo Jorgensen was joking about that the other day, and I think he titled his most recent race as Zone 2 as a joke, because he's like, are you shitting me?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There is just gifted people, and he is gifted, but there is always, a candle that burns twice as bright only lasts half as long.
That's my point.
So what do you do? You just wait this out and tell your sponsors?
The one thing I thought
we're
was
building.
interesting,
Show up.
We're building.
You know what he's going to have to do. So the strategy has to be, you have to determine what you're going to. He's going to attack at least, nowadays 100K out.
So it was a big range.
Yeah.
So there has to be you're going to have men set up to go, and you're going to have to bust that up. One thing that you got when you break down a race, you look at the selective part. Now, on the Amelia, that race, there was this steep climb that everybody knew was going to go, but it's a circuit race.
Yeah.
They just didn't expect him to go on
The first
lap.
time. Yeah.
So that's the thing that this guy did. Strada Bianca at 80K. So you're going to have to launch. I mean, not just one team, but several teams are going to have to they're going to figure it out. There is a chink in that armor. They just are too busy looking at the shiny front.
Yeah.
And so I think there is a way, and the time will come that he isn't going to win everything that he races. So if you look at since the tour, he's won 6 stages.
He's striving
First
for 86
overall,
wins this year, which is a record.
Yeah. And he had 7th place. He's been top 10 everything that he races.
Yeah.
My friend who listens to this podcast, I visited him last weekend.
I have 2 questions there.
this.
Number 1, you have a friend, and number 2, you know somebody who listens to this?
Yeah, it's weird that he does both, honestly.
Wow. That's
and
weird.
He here's my voice, and he doesn't want to just run away.
Yeah. Right?
He texted me that stat of what Tade has done in the last 7 days of racing. And he's, first Tour de France stage 19, stage 20, stage 21, first in the Tour de France, first, or seventh, sorry, in the Quebec.
These are race
first.
days.
These are all like, these are his last, 7 race days. Like he is unstoppable when it comes to that. But I think it also reminds us of like Peter Sagan. I mean, remember when Peter Sagan was winning everything, and then everybody's like, "I'm not working with you."
Yeah,
I'm not
the whole
pulling you to that.
peloton went
The
against
whole
He doesn't
peloton
need,
went
but
against
the
it.
thing with
Tade doesn't need the peloton.
he doesn't even need the peloton, and he's proved that. That's the difference between the two. Because Peter Sagan, if you watch in the early days, he sat. He was patient, and when he won Worlds up in Norway, that's what he did. I mean, I thought, is he even in the race? And then he shows up in the last 10 kilometers, and he's like, oh, he's fresh as a daisy. He's just going to screw people over. Tade, he's fresh as a daisy at 120 kilometers away, and he just takes off. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people scratching their heads and writing things up on paper, trying to come up.
It's got to be a concerted effort.
I think in the Tour,
UAE keeps building riders around him that are some of the best in the world too.
But the things that he's weak at, he doesn't do heat very well. So, those are the days, like on the Tour de France, that's what you're going to have to do. It's just like, sorry,
it's going to be 100
you got
degrees.
one leg, you're going to have to give us 100% and pull out of the Tour, because we need that one leg to make sure he's in the pancake. We just want him never to rest, never to get any water, never get food. He's uncomfortable the whole time. That's how you're going to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Speaking of which, we've got the final major race of the season, Race of the Falling Leaves, Lombardia, happening this weekend. Everybody has start lists in front of him, and I've made an adjustment. Everybody gets to pick technically 4 riders, because we are all obviously picking one rider in particular, and we're just canceling that rider out. Hence Tadej Pogačar, because the chances of it happening again are incredibly strong, especially when you put a rainbow jersey on his back. And so I'm allowing everybody to pick 3 other riders to see what we can come up with in terms of victory for this. It is kind of a bumpy course. It's got a little shark tooth profile to it. It is 252K.
What's
average
the total
climbs.
vert?
I don't have that in front of me, unfortunately. But the average climbs anywhere between 5 to 9% is usually kind of the averages of climbs.
So you would say it's a hilly, a favors.
It's not but on the same as like Les Bastogne, that type of course, but it's a little bit different. But
I will, for example, go first. Obviously, I picked Tadej Pogačar, I picked Matteo Jorgensen, I picked Tom Scoins, and I picked Thomas Pidcock, because I think my Scoins rode really well in the Worlds. I think he's riding really well. Pidcock, I'm picking more.
He should have been on the podium.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah, because there was a fraction of a rule done by Mathieu van der Poel hopping on the...
I think Pidcock, I don't know. I'm anxious to see what headlines Tom Pidcock makes in the next couple months, especially the rumors that he might be moving teams. To Q36.5, which is just what, right?
But the owner of that owns Pinarello.
Oh,
and he's a billionaire. So.
Okay. Yeah. You guys hear that cracking sound? That is seriously David's headphones. That is like.
I didn't think anybody else could hear that.
That's how silent. That's how quiet you are, you little mousy whisperer, you. Adorable little mouse. Who wants to go next?
I can go. Outside of Pogačar?
Outside of Tadej.
I have Roglic, Evenepoel, and Maxim Van Gils.
Oh, okay. Still with Evenepoel. There have been discussions that he's reaching the end of his mental exhaustion.
Well, I know he had dirt in his eye on the last race. Yeah, and that's why he pulled out.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of Roglic pulled out. It was miserable.
Yeah.
They were told that there was no rain, and they pull up the start. I mean, everybody. There was no rain in the forecast, and it was raining. And when they rolled out, it just poured down, and people were just cold.
Oh, God.
And then debris. That was a tough race.
They canceled a race today because of rain.
Yeah, pissed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam?
Okay, first question. When is pro cycling stats going to just do the right thing and just on these races just block out every name besides Tade? Like, I mean, there's only really one starter, right?
That's a great point. I don't know.
I mean, there's no other
I don't know.
starters.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all
winner,
participants, I
produce
guess.
the winner and all the has-beens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or they got
wannabes.
Tade's name
Yeah.
and all the rest of the names just say duh.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? They do Tade's name and they just say Packfiller.
Oh. I like that.
That is crazy close. Okay, I'm gonna say Primos because it could happen. Julian Alaphilippe, he's always been kind of a roller.
God, what a way to go out! What a way to
right.
leave Soudal Quickstep, who he has had a great relationship for.
Right,
with.
and because I originally said Remco, but I think I would rather see Julian do well there, and then I have to pick an American, so I think Matteo.
I picked
Obviously, Nielsen Palace is like my idol, but
Nelson's riding okay.
yeah,
He's
but
riding
I
well.
think Matteo's better.
I'd
off
love
for
to
this.
see an EF rider
I know.
win a biggie.
Yep.
Just because that just makes me happy because I know they've got half the
They'll
budget.
have Casper Askren.
Yeah.
next year.
Got a quarter
Yeah.
of the budget.
Shit,
Yeah.
really? Actually, oh my God, David, do you know what you actually said? Where is this race?
And he
I-
was
what
in
I
that
missed
area.
Came from
What
there.
I meant was, where's it going? And I was just looking up. They went up. They're going to go up the Madonna something.
Gisalo.
Oh, yeah.
Gisalo,
Yeah.
So they're
He
going up.
climbed to the Madonna di Gisalo. So for
Yes.
the riders who know what the hell I'm talking about, it's the patron saint of cycling. I gave you guys keychains a while ago that I don't know if yours might have fallen off. Mine's still existing, but it is the patron saint of cycling, and you didn't know what it was.
We climbed to the top, and there was a museum there, and we went inside.
It's a
was great.
church. It's a chapel.
It's a chapel,
Yeah, yeah.
There was signed Tade jerseys in there
There you
on
go.
the tour.
Yeah,
That is the gospel.
it is.
Other than Tade, I picked Roglic, Remco, and Jorgensen.
Okay.
Those are
Okay.
good.
So we all canceled each other out in a couple
Yeah.
ways. Looks like Tom Scoins is going to win then.
No.
I'd like to
You
see that.
picked him, so.
Oh, that's true. I've had better luck this year.
You
This
have
has
had
been a
better
not
luck
bad
this
year.
year.
Although I think I still lost the Tour Challenge, didn't I?
White
Shit.
shorts again? In public?
Well, didn't my driveway count as public?
Nope. I want a group ride.
We talked about the beer mile again, and nobody is
I'll do
fully
it.
committed to it.
I don't want to
So-
do it.
If you make, what was it, mac and cheese? Is that your thing that I
Was
wanted?
it
I want mac and cheese.
broccoli.
That's it.
That
I want
was it.
mac and cheese.
Well, it has broccoli in it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, which some people are going to think is totally fucked up. But
I don't
it's
care.
really good. In
I
there.
That's
want to
healthy.
eat that.
Who's got segments for me? Raise your hands.
Does beer
Okay,
count?
you two.
Yeah.
You're good. You don't have one.
No.
Okay, we got segments. So I need to hit the what's my bumper? That's my bumper. Bumpers brought to us. Segments brought to us by our help from Get Ready for This, Zwift. That is right. Get free play controllers with every smart trainer purchase to celebrate Zwift's birthday weekend. 10 years of Zwift.
Wow.
Don't judge me. Paul's looking at me. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. This was.
I think it's great. It gets people on the bike and get in shape. I think it's a great thing. I worry about. I think our mental health for those people are something to be concerned about.
It's VR, man. It's Dance Dance Revolution.
VR, man. It's the wave of the future.
I actually re-signed, and this is before Zwift came on to be a part of the sponsors, not sponsor, but part of the podcast. I re-signed because I want to do the races this winter. I like the races. It's a great way for me to go Thursday night, 6 o'clock. I'm doing a 15-mile crit until my eyes bleed.
Nice.
It's great. It's stupid racing because it's just nobody paces themselves. The best race I ever did on Zwift was during our COVID lockout one because everybody started off slow when we were attacking and doing kind of stuff like that. It was a fun race. I wish people would do that instead of these all gearheads. So I got Waples pieces.
The old one, too.
So who should go first?
I don't care.
You don't care? Well, let's see who's. Oh, the doctor's first, so you get the best. You get to finish
Best
off.
for last, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with Ask Dr. David. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Yeah.
It's
Since
been
I
at
played
least
that
3
jingle.
weeks.
Maybe 4.
It's
Maybe
been at
4.
least 3. Yeah. Well, you guys just like come when you know, and then
I know. Oh, we're just
When
such
the wind
busy
blows, right?
individuals, you know.
yeah, when you feel like
so
it.
important.
Are there participation awards?
I am a millennial.
show
I
up.
want. If you had gold stars,
Yeah,
I'd be here every time.
it's the beer's color gold.
Yeah. That's
So-
your freaking gold star right there. You're
Yeah,
drinking it.
exactly. Sarcopenia. Did I
Nailed it.
pronounce it correctly?
This time, yes.
What the? Did I not earlier?
You guys both
Butchered it,
earlier.
yeah.
Sarcopenia? Penia? All I know is it sounds like penis. And it doesn't have any necessarily... God, does it have anything to do with penis?
Doesn't have anything
Can you
to
have
do.
sarcopenia in your peenie?
No.
Thank
Do you
God.
have muscle in your penis?
Yeah.
No.
It's a white
Not
muscle.
really. Not much. I mean, you don't have much.
So what?
Oh man.
David, talk to us, especially us old men, about what it is, and
Should we
are
be afraid?
Are we screwed? Yeah.
Well, I don't think you should be afraid. I see sarcopenia primarily in sick people.
Describe it for those people.
Yeah, I primarily I see it in pretty frail elderly people. But what it is that it's a general whole body loss of muscle. I think it directly translates to something like loss of flesh or something.
Whoa.
But really, it's just like a whole body loss of like 10% or more of muscle, something of that sort. There's lab markers that we can use to identify it, that sort of thing. But really, the people you're seeing sarcopenia in, it's elderly people that are inactive, not eating enough, or they've
I know that ain't
So
me.
they've undergone
Safe.
Yeah, you're eating enough, that's for sure. They've undergone like prolonged periods of stress or like inflammation, something of the sort. So it's associated with general poor health. It's not something that just happens to a healthy person who's otherwise active. Things you can do if you're worried about developing sarcopenia is just stay active. This is why it's one of the reasons that weightlifting as you age is actually associated with living longer, because it helps you maintain muscle mass. And, sarcopenia is linked to, decreased life expectancy. It's not necessarily that the loss of muscle causes you to die, but I think it's just a indication that, your health is failing. But if you're a cyclist, if you're otherwise active, I mean, it really isn't something you should worry
But
about.
I have no grip anymore.
Could this have to
you
do
also
with?
are missing a tendon, sir.
Could
that
this
you
have to
didn't
do
get
with
fixed.
Paul's like little chicken wing things that he has? Is that what classified as sarcopenia?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's
My
a
upper
normal
body's
a
gone.
normal amount of muscle loss that happens as we age, and I mean, you also have the world's biggest calves because you use your legs all the time. So
It's
maybe
the
maybe
upper
do some
body
upper
I'm
body.
worried about.
Yeah.
so you could probably
Paul's,
use your
Paul's calves are like Popeye's forearms.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? Muscle's
Truly.
heavy, and that's not helping you go up any hills.
No.
So sarcopenia
I
the
just
shit
can't
out of
open
that.
the stupid doorknobs. I can't grab
Can you
and turn.
inject sarcopenia into
I can't open a
areas?
jar of pickles.
You
With
can't.
your left hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you get this, hun?
No.
Don't do it naked.
That's a Seinfeld reference.
Thank
That's
you.
a great one.
But it's
It's a
not.
bad naked.
It's not in
is.
and of itself like a thing that just happens for no reason. So
Yeah.
it's a marker of something else going
So
on.
in other words, all of our listeners at home who tend to, or home, you're listening to this in your living room, who are listening to this, who have certain fears that they're checking boxes off of, sarcopenia should not be one.
Not if you're active and otherwise healthy. Yeah, it's not even like I could never filled out a death certificate and said that they died from sarcopenia.
Really?
yeah. So I can
Maybe it could
relieve.
contribute, but it's not like it could be one of the contributing factors. But
So you're putting that under the rug. That's what you're saying. You're hiding the sarcopenia cases.
yeah, I don't want people to know.
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
This is
It's a
good to hear.
conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. Yeah.
This is good to hear.
We doctors hide
as
it.
I shared before,
Yeah.
me with my night terrors in the middle of
Yeah.
the night, waking up, my wife's sarcopenia. I can't push a 5311. Sarcopenia. So, yeah, that's gonna come to an end. Thanks.
I'm going to
thanks,
remember
doctor.
this
Yeah.
next time I get dropped.
Yeah.
Man, the first time I see a 5236 on your bike, I'm going to yell out sarcopenia.
Yep.
I will not have a 36.
Next time you get dropped, just
You can't
Not
have
on the front,
5239.
not on the back. That number will never exist on my bike.
A 56?
Right, a 52.
No, 53 or bigger.
I'm just saying, I'm telling you, when you have a 52 on there, I'm going to yell out
I
sarcopenia.
won't. I have to go get a custom chainring. I'll do it in a mill. I'm not going to step down.
Dude, Mill.
I might as well just put me in the grave.
I'm not leaving Spokane, and I'm not going below 53.
That's right.
All right, next up, let's talk to Sam with some bike fit tips, courtesy of our friends at Ambassador Cycling, which is really it's Sam.
It's me.
What do you got for us, Chief?
What was the question that you... Oh, inward hoods.
Oh,
the
yes.
fad.
Because this, I should
know,
have let
Todd,
you.
that's
I'm
okay.
bad host. Bad host.
Hey, no, that's okay.
Because you know what, I saw Tyler, what's his name, vegan cyclist the other day, who had this video. I was like, this this is why we're all doing it. And he has his hands out like this. He just has his hands out and he goes, now lean forward. And he's like, that's how your hands naturally rest, bro. And I'm like going, first of all, this is the most unscientific pile of shit
him.
I've ever
Yeah,
seen in
I
my
know.
entire life. And everybody's claiming it's obviously more aerodynamic. Now, if you got shoulders as wide as a yardstick like me, that doesn't mean dick.
No.
But
No.
talk to me about why this trend to turn our brake levers in and ruin the entire aesthetic of a bicycle.
So you and I did it because actually what
We did.
Bro Bra was talking about.
Yeah.
Because you naturally have a bit of, like, dependent upon who you are, internal rotation of your shoulder. We match that in the hood, and it makes it so that your hood should feel like you're reaching out and shaking somebody's hand. So that's what we did for you. And that's where, like, normally... it ends there, but nowadays, like, vegan cyclist has done this, like, I don't even know what. I'm like, I honestly would be curious to see if that guy's, like, internal rotation, like, if he has just completely morphed down onto the bike because his hoods are so far rotated, and if his hands are naturally going there, it's like, too far, dude.
Yeah.
But,
Well, he doesn't eat meat.
right.
Oh, neither do you. Never mind.
No, I eat some. Choicitarian.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway. So where the pros have come into this and have kind of changed things, because I have people, coming in with questions all the time regarding this stuff. And what I have to explain to them is that when pros are doing this, it's because they can't do
Puppy paws.
Puppy paw.
Yeah.
They can't do puppy paw legally anymore. So what they do is they rotate the hoods in, and then they have their hands on the brakes.
Yeah.
But they're still puppy pawing, right? That's where it came into with pros. But, like, if you really want to change your aero profile, get narrower bars.
Yeah.
You're not changing your aero profile much by if you have, just rotate your hoods in. Get narrower bars.
Do narrow bars restrict your breathing? That's
They
a whole
do.
other topic.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. It's like, and when people come in and tell you that, I'm like, oh, are you going to be racing in the Tour next year?
Yeah.
I'm usually a dick outside of this, too.
Really? Usually?
I know. Everybody's probably surprised by that.
Only on days that end in a Y.
In a Y.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
No, so I talk with people. I'm like, hey, like, recreationally, I understand what you're going for, but we don't really need to worry about, like, going into a narrower. Comfort is going to make it so you're more, stable with, like, driving higher power numbers, all that stuff. If you are trying to narrow it, you're not going to be breathing as much. You're going to, affect your power. You're going to go slower. Short answer.
I think there's another issue to that too, because people do have wrist pain, and I will take it way back when my first carbon bike, I had Durace, and this is back when Durace was the 9800, where they had the cables coming out to the outside and internally ran. Those hoods were the most uncomfortable thing. I've never had problems with wrist, and because in order to have that shift lever the way it is, it kicks up. Now that same kind of design is also with disc brakes to have the reservoirs, so they have a tendency to turn those reservoirs in a little bit, and so then it's not you're not cocking your wrist so much, to get into that position.
Yep.
So I think that's part of it too, that some of these guys are like, because they're especially, the new SRAMs are longer, they're a longer hood and shallower on the horn part.
Yep.
So I wonder if that had something to do with
Which
it.
is
too.
affecting the reach of the bike, which then you have to,
everything
I mean,
just
it's just
changes so fast.
Oh, and that's what like is a primary headache to my field is like, okay, well now it depended upon what shifters you have. People are like, oh, I'm looking at getting this new bike. Can you do a fit on me beforehand? I'm like, yes, we can get a lot of the numbers beforehand to do general sizing, but you have to come back in after because like the hoods are totally different. You know, like the reach on those where the different companies put the reservoir. It's all different.
Yeah.
My SRAM on my gravel bike is I have to put them in because it sticks out. I mean, it's older SRAM, so but
It's very different.
kind of annoying.
Yeah,
I have sensitive wrists.
you do. You're a sensitive flower.
I am. precious little baby. So for our outro, gentlemen, I like to pose a little question here, and sometimes it has to do with cycling, sometimes it doesn't. And we have it's the 119, right? Or do I do the 104? The 104
has the
the 104 I think has the avoir. All right, so we only have a minute to all of us
Lots
answer
of
this
us.
question. So should I? The question is for
Hit
our
it.
final
Nope,
K.
Hit it.
Our final K is, with the apparent obsession here in the United States with hoarding toilet paper every time something shitty happens, what would be the item you choose to hoard in the event of a supply chain shortage?
Chains.
Bike chains. Paul.
A bike shortage
Just global shortage of anything.
of anything?
Yeah.
Beer. Jesus, that's
God,
short
Chains,
noted.
no.
Damn, I love you, man.
Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee.
That's a good
That's
one,
a close
too.
second, but no, it's
I could brew
beer.
my own beer. I'd probably go with coffee too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
what
could
I'd
do
say.
instant coffee. And
Yeah, but it'd
I
be
could drink mirror.
stale.
It's better than nothing, man.
No.
Put it in the freezer.
I'm not giving
No,
up my bike.
don't
And if my
freeze
This
tire
brings
stretches
us
too
to the
far-
end of another Packfiller podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe as it truly helps us boost our power. Drop us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Jackson, get here because the cameras were all fucked up.
Yeah, and we were.
Au revoir.
There we go.
Wow. Au revoir.
It's just, oh God, I can't do this. It's still live.
With all
See,
of
I didn't
that.